Just when you were talking about fear, the fear and the fight or flight aspect, it really reminded me of that conversation we were just having last night about fear. And you, just as you were talking about that, a situation that somebody can be in, I was reminded of that conversation with my daughter, and realizing that you are not afraid of the other. You know, the fear isn't of that other guy, of that woman, or of that situation. The fear, and we think that it is, but it's not. It is fear of self, and fear that I don't know how to cope. I don't know how to keep my options open. I don't know if I can deal with this guy or this woman or whatever. But the fear is of self, and this is, I think, what comes from the competencies that you bring in such a short period of time. It's not about learning a fancy art that's going to take you years to master. That's not what you're bringing. It's to bring that sense in the moment of, right now I've got a few options that mean that
yes,
I don't need to be afraid because I trust myself.
It's about reducing it down to that capacity to respond, your responsibility, and choice is the enemy of the victim. And so if you're maintaining your capacity to have a range of choices, I mean, what you said about having more options, you know, and you know, the more options that you have, the less likely you are to fall victim to anything. And you know, if we're remembering that choice is the enemy of the victim, you know, then we start to dismantle that whole apparatus of victim, savior, aggressor.
Yes, and even giving more options than just fight or flight. You see, there's more options there, just by you being all right in yourself, in your time and space, knowing that you've got time there, knowing there's time.
Well, but that's what happens in these conflict situations, is that choice goes down to just one reactive state, one traumatized state. And so the more that we can maintain that openness of choice, and that does take a bit of training to be able to maintain that state of choice. I had these two Spanish guys come and train with me, and the biggest takeaway that I got from them, which is the other end of this triangle, is they said, oh, if you come as a saviour, be prepared to be crucified. Which is the other positions. You know, you've got the victim, the saviour, and the aggressor. And they were saying, if you turn up as a saviour, you're going to be crucified.
Yes. I think anybody who's tried to get involved in a domestic dispute will know about that one.
Yeah. But you know, this thing of maintaining a state in which you can choose how you respond. You know, this is a crucial aspect of the warrior, and
a crucial aspect of self-mastery. Just exactly what you said there. Self-mastery in a nutshell.
I think the warrior archetype is very linked to self-mastery. So with a lot of the work that we do generally, we're giving people tools, options, ways of changing the way that they look. They're going to fail at times. We all fail. I fail. You fail. We all fail.
Yeah.
And
but if we learn from that, it's not a failure.
It's not a failure. Absolutely.
You know, it's learning, and that's the nature of learning. Is that it comes in the form of failure.
Yes,
of course.
Yes.
But this is the thing, and I think with some of what I do, and I'm not going to elaborate too much on that, but there's a specific area where you're being pushed past what you think you can achieve, and you will fail at some point. But that failure, you would go, oh, actually, hang on.
What was that? What caused that? Was it the mind? Was it my energy? Was it my body? You know, and yes, was it my intention? You know, yes, it throws you. It throws you back onto then being able to see where that weakness lies within you in a situation. And this is one of the things that I think is really crucial, that again speaks to the positive archetype of the warrior, is that you bring a really safe space. Yes, that people can encounter themselves and each other with a great deal of safety because of your level of skill. And this is one of the things that I found, is that the higher level of martial artist that I fought with, the safer I am. It's usually the beginners who you get hurt by,
Yes.
not by the people who have travelled down the road a long way. You know, especially if they've done it in a way in which they're really taking that warriorship seriously. And that's one of the things that I think is really powerful about what you bring, Mark, is a real sense of safety within that encounter.
And just to add to that, the other thing I feel that I've noticed in what you bring is, so you talk about pressure testing quite a lot, and to me that's crucial for any technique to remain in my toolkit. It has to be, can I use this when I am so pinched I feel like I've got nowhere to move? You know, does this work when I am stressed to the max, angry, afraid, or whatever? Can I grab this tool and use it? Because if I can't, then it's got limited use, because when I'm pushing the edge, when I'm pushing the boundary to make my world bigger or safer, I'm always going to have one of those feelings. I'm always going to feel under pressure. I'm always going to feel stressed. I might feel afraid. I might feel exposed, all those things. So basically, every tool I bring into that edge space, into my manliness, into my challenge of my life, must serve that. And that's what I've noticed about, you know, the clarity you bring in the safety, is that in this high intensity zone experience, I can tell you've been there and paused and found yourself there. In the midst of all that sensory current going on in your body, I can tell you've been there and going, what works from here? And you've been there enough to have tested a number of things that work from there to say, do you know what, that was crap, that doesn't work, and then you've got these nuggets, these treasures that you bring, which is, this worked, that worked, this works. But that's that I think that safety can only come from people that have been in that level of intensity and found peace in that level of intensity. That's the guy I want to listen to and learn from, because it's not it's not in the comfort of the dojo.
Can you speak to the level of capacity that then creates in you as a man? You know, in other situations where you're not life threatened.
So for me, if you look at the words pressure testing, the two words, and separate them up, you've got pressure, which most things are created. I mean, they talk about diamonds being created under pressure. So you need a force to push you, so that you can push back and feel confident. And the testing element is you testing it yourself. I can stand up, I can show someone multiple methods of dealing. I mean, we're not just talking from a combative or from a physical embodiment kind of aspect, but we can talk from a conversational aspect. We can talk from all sorts. I can give you methods, you could give people methods, other people could give, someone could show up and give us a bunch of methods. And unless we can test it to see if it works under pressure, in my opinion, it's not a thing.
Yes, well, you can't trust it yet.
I can't trust it.
I totally agree with you, and what I have to say to all of my students is, don't believe a word I tell you, because that's just lazy. And we are lazy like that.
Yes.
And what you're saying is, the warrior is not lazy. No. The warrior is not believing anything in order that they can test it and know that it works. And that's the same with the physical embodiment work, with the work that takes you into the energetic aspect of your being, with the work that takes you into your spiritual aspect. That if you're not applying that simple rule to it, then it is just information and it is not knowledge. And what we're about is inviting people into a state of knowing these things in themselves, deep in themselves, so that they can emerge, you know, as a sort of powerful and, you know, a man with capacity, dexterity and power.
The word that comes to me that just sums up what you're saying there, so beautifully put, and the word that just comes to me as being the result of that is integrity.
Yeah, huge.
And it is structures that you can rely on, tools you can rely on, and because you will have tested it and you'll know this bit of scaffold fits with this bit of scaffold, and you can stand on it and you know it, you can trust it, that is integrity. So for a man to have a number of things that knows he can stand with this, have these currents move through his body and be a reliable force for himself and then for the rest of the world,
And
whoever his world is.
yes, and you know, this is one of the things that I find that has really forged a powerful connection between me and you, is your mental ninjery, your capacity for original thought about things that are there in plain sight, and your way of taking those aspects and presenting them in a skillful way to help men to understand themselves within the play of everything. And
Thank you, yeah.
you know, and it's obvious that that is years worth of your time and energy focused on trying to unpick those aspects in a way that in order to offer them, you know, as simply as you do. And you know, that simplicity is a mark of deep understanding. And you know, I find that many of the things that you offer I have not heard anywhere else. And you know, and again, you know, you'll phone me up and go, "Hey, I've just had this great sort of thought about such and such," and I'm like, "Wow, yeah!" And then you know, and then we sort of run with that, and it becomes, you know, we start to interrogate that concept.
Yes.
You know?
And yeah, we it's like move into that new space. It's what it feels like. Move into this space and be like, "Oh yeah, this perspective, it carries new feeling with it. This is good. You know, this is a good orientation, a good angle." Yeah, it feels rich. Thank you for that.
Yes. But you know, can you speak a bit about, you know, it feels like that's part of your ongoing research.
It is.
You know, Mark's research is more in that embodied sphere.
Yes.
And coming into a sort of state of peace with that.
Yes.
And your research is more exploratory in order to pull out an understanding of masculinity from the environment that we're in, in a way that helps us to maintain a clear understanding of you know, of who we are in relation to this the changing sort of nature of the current situation.
Yes, that is so beautifully put. I think it's humbling to hear, because I feel seen when you say that, because you know, that's how I feel. I feel that these are gems of mine that have been through sifting through, you know, panning for gold in a mine of dross information, and then finding there's most of it dross, but then mining myself and yielding these things. And the story you gave earlier about the samurai who trained by working in the field and turned up for a fight with no weapon and then just made a sword out of the ore, that is what I feel like I do in the mental realm, which is to say, is to bring the story of the truth of your masculinity or gender in every moment, everywhere. It's like, well, you're still a man here, therefore we have the gender plug in the world here. You might not see that, so this is what I bring that story, I bring the narrative that helps knit. So to me, it's mental embodiment, and I know that seems like an oxymoron, but it's not. All my stuff, what's couched in all of it is what I call like a return to an indigenous mind, to a felt mind, an embodied mind, which isn't an oxymoron, because those that have tasted it know that it's embodied, because the mind feels and it sees and it experiences environment and concepts in a new way and in a different way, and that's what I seek to bring.
Yes, and I think that the quality of connection to the masculine self that those ideas bring, you know, that's kind of what's happening. Is that those ideas allow us to remain connected to our masculinity within society in a way that you know, other men are sort of, you know, shrink away from. Yes. They're like, no, I can't bring that, because that's considered to be toxic. And we're going, hang on a minute, but this is the ancestral masculine right here. You're standing on it, brother. You're wearing it, brother. You know, and we can feel that. It's not just, you know, it's like the ideas translate into feeling, like you're saying.
That's it. It's the journey to embodiment.
In a way that we ooze that.
Yes.
And that is then perceived by both other men and also by the feminine, by women. Women sort of see that and they go, wow, that is a rare thing.
Yes.
And there's a quality of their magnetism being attracted to
men.
You know, the men who are embodied in that mental, bodily, energetic and spiritual way.
So well said, and I've really noticed that because so many guys that I've seen are looking to learn things that they can do, and it's like, you know, to be attractive to women or to be effective or to be respected by other men. And what I've learned over the years is there's nothing you can do. It's not about you doing a nice dance at the time. It's about how you hold yourself. It's your
like
comportment.
the birds of paradise.
Yeah, like the birds of paradise. But it's your comportment. It's just you just standing there. They see it and they respond. They see it in your face. They're looking at things you can't even see.
Well, it's more that they feel it.
And they're feeling. There is that feeling sense. And it's only to people who are disembodied that this sounds all abstract and ephemeral. That's the oxymoron that's within it. To anybody who's tasted it, it's obvious. You know, it's as obvious as this is my hand and here it is. It's that obvious. But if they've never been on that journey, then in that disembodied field, everything is equal, isn't it? In the disembodied field, all ideas are equal. They're all the same because none of them have any substance. Whereas, yes, what I seek to bring is the ties, the hooks to the truth, because it has to be true. If it's in nature, it must be true.
Yeah.
So you're going to tap it into the truth, and then once it's hooked into truth, then you can hook yourself into that anywhere, whether you're in the office or wherever it is, and you can stop judging the behaviours and just hook into the truth and just plug into that honesty and that truth wherever you go. And I feel like that's the thing that I'm.
But I think that in this is called the information age, and there's a sort of information overload. And what I really love about what you bring is that you have honed it to the point where you've got this tiny little piece, or this series of pieces that cut through all of that information overload to the point where you're like, hang on a minute, that is reduced down to this. Oh. To these polarities, and I'm in this polarity now. Oh, now I'm in this polarity. I see. That's it sort of simplifies. We were talking last night about the 100 different types of gender. It sort of it melts all of that down into something that we can really work with, and that's why it creates that quality of embodiment. Is because those ideas have filtered out all of the information that is just noise and down to the signal that actually we need to be receiving.
Thank you for saying that. That is, and I feel over the years I used to do these big long formal sessions, a day-long session or things like that. It was fine, I enjoyed it, but it was in that disembodied phase, and the further I've gone, the more I see my role about being very short sessions that just introduce a concept, but then the rest of the time I'm just alongside whatever else is going on, bringing that hook, the narrative at each encounter. Oh, did you know that this is a bit uncomfortable, isn't it? This is where gender is here. This is where that is here. This is where that is here. And I feel like you bring the spiritual component of that, like real natural spirit, the spirit of nature, bringing that thread of reminder in no matter what we're doing. Bringing that in where, spirit is here too. Yes, we're doing this. Here's the spirit of this. Yes, here. And I do that with the gender, the language side of it as well. And then obviously you bring the embodied masculine side of it too. And I love this cross-pollination, and that each has the capacity from the years of work to just bring it as a nugget. You don't need to clear the way, clear the decks. Mark's coming in to say something. Clear the decks. Mark's coming in. Right, everybody, shut up. Listen for 20 minutes while Mark does this. It's not that. It's just like a little nudge, a little mention, a little this, that, here. And I think that's one of the problems for marketing and talking about what each of us does, is that the quality and the meaning of the touches is so rich and developed and like you say, distilled, that it's just a touch in a few moments and that's it. It's that just masculine.
Quality of light touch.
Yes.
That you were talking about the seemingly invisible, seemingly absent masculine.
Yes,
that has this really light touch, and it's like the more capacity and dexterity and skill you develop, the lighter your touch becomes.
Yes, exactly.
And that synergy between us, which I think that you said, hey, it's like I don't have to hold that anymore because I know that you've got that.
Yes.
And you've got that.
Yes.
And that produces an amazing quality of brotherhood.
Yes, I agree.
That personally I find deeply nourishing whenever we get together.
Yeah.
You know, each session that we've run, we have been so nourished by. There are quite a few where we've turned up and we're ragged.
Yeah.
And we come out of it going, rah! Yeah. Now we are feeling embodied and alive.
Yes.
You know, especially under certain circumstances, it's gone. That really woke us up beautifully. Yes, you know, but that sort of, you know, that's one of the things that I hold dearly.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you know, it kind of feels like it's being demonstrated here as well is us being able to speak to the skills of the other, and the other going, wow, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for seeing me. And that quality of being seen by your peers, by the other men, this is a really powerful thing. Yeah. This is something that holds a deep and, you know, great power for us.
I agree.
You know, because when we're seen by our male peers in that way, it fills us with a quality of strength. We may know what we bring, or we may not. Mm-hmm. But if that is really seen by other men who we trust and hold in a place of esteem and integrity, then suddenly that trust is doubled in us.
This is the thing. This is what I struggle with in terms of promotion and marketing of this work, because these rewards that we speak of they're so quiet and pervasive and unsellable, you know, because they don't really have names. You know, these feelings that I've discovered in this work, you know, I mean, I'm a guy of words, do you know what I mean? I can refer to things pretty accurately. And I find the rewards of this men's work as we delve into male mystery and the rewards of male connection and you know, the depths that can go to, I find myself in an increasingly descriptionless, non-verbal space but my capacity, my range, my size, my potency feels elevated to levels way beyond anything that was even conceivable when I was this atomized, divided and conquered individual alpha male unit, you know. But so much deep embodied all rightness in myself and feeling good, valued, seen, all these things which wasn't there. And I couldn't have known the value of them, of how good they feel. Nobody could have told me that, and you couldn't have written it in words, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds good, I want to go along to that event. I just don't, that bridge doesn't exist.
I think that's, you know, that's the beauty of the male mystery. And it's the male mystery is not, you know,
can't sell it.
We can't put words on that. You know, because the minute we start saying, oh, this is what's going to happen, then the mystery has been punctured. You're not in the mystery anymore. You know, we've punctured the mystery, and the thing is that So
what I also think, if we wind it back, way back. So men, so the hunter-gatherer times, women often were the gatherers.
Yes. Yeah.
They stayed as a collective, gathered resources local to wherever they were staying, and the men went out and hunted as a group. Mm-hmm. And I think what we see these days in society is that the women have still got that sisterhood together. They still are there for each other as support. But men are sent out as individual hunters. Off they go. And they're hunting left, right and centre. But they're not hunting together.
Yes.
And to take down that big game back in the day, to take down that mammoth, to take down that other tribe even, you needed to work together. The individual would be picked off.
And that's the only place then now where men start to feel that brotherhood is when they're in a military setting.
Yes.
And I've met quite a few ex-military people who really miss the quality of brotherhood that happened in their unit or whatever. And yet when I've been working at a spiritual level, suddenly they've started to re-find that. You know, in a civilian context where we're all having to hold each other in order to face our darkness or some aspect, you know, that we're hunting power now. We're not hunting an animal per se, we're hunting to take our power back so that we can be powerful beings, you know, in a sort of in a community of other men, you know, so that we can take care of our people, whoever they may be, you know, our families and our friends around us, because, you know, one of the things that you've said is that people keep seeking you out. The more that you've deepened into this work, the more people are going, hey, can you help me? You know, I feel broken, can you help me? You know, and that's and you have the resources to know, you know, maybe how they're broken, or the direction that they need to move in order to start to find some wholeness.
That gentle touch. I think for you, and this is where this comes into, if you look at the relationship that men have with other men these days, and the broken connection to gender from man to man, I think that a lot of what you bring to the table helps the man rediscover, you know, that we need each other. I mean, men are killing themselves in record numbers. That's not just a UK based thing, it's worldwide. Isolated men, isolated from the brotherhood. And I think that that's something.
Agreed. Even just the shared experience of coming together builds a sense of connection and sort of resilience.
What I've seen in men, not just at our events that we've done, but at other events, gatherings as well, is I've seen this common thread of guys who come along for whatever reason, and they are the greatest benefit that they often report is, you know, this seemingly invisible benefit of just being in male company and sharing this male space. But because it's so unquantifiable, when they leave, they know that before they leave, they're always saying, oh yeah, I've got to do this more, I need to get together more, I need to do this more, all the rest of it. That's all well-meaning. But because it's so ephemeral as a thing, they go away and forget and go back into the atomization.
Indeed, and I think that, you know, we can get together as men down the pub or something like that and be in an expression of toxic masculinity. You know, and yet when we come together in a way where we're specifically trying to break through a multitude of the things that stop us from really encountering ourselves in a way that we can then develop our capacity, because, you know, we have everything that we need. There's nothing that we can give to anyone else other than some directional pointers in order for them to be more with themselves, to you know, become themselves more. And then when that's happened enough, we become a beacon of that. Then we go down the pub and we can transform that experience into a positive masculine experience amongst our peers, because we're not going to let the negative aspect take that over. Because we're choosing our mood as a warrior, and we're going, hey, you know what? Not that, because that's diminishing the masculine. You know, that's, you know, but we're able to really uphold a quality of integrity and positive masculinity within other communities of men. And it's like it's the blue touch paper has been lit. For us to know what that is, so that we can then bring it.
And I think one of the big things that we bring that I don't really see in other offerings is, and it's an effect of the acknowledgement and appreciation of the skills and what other men bring. Because there's so much collectivization out there, and this flat hierarchy making anyone that looks like, anything that kind of looks like leadership, if it's not coming from one of these mandated spaces, people move to tear somebody down so quickly, rather than celebrating somebody who wants to share their skill at that moment. And it's just such a wounded relationship with authority, with people claiming their power. People look at it as if somebody claiming their power is then taking away from you. Oh, there's somebody claiming some power. That must be taking power from me, so I must move to stop them claiming power because it's taking from me. When it's like, it's not, mate. They are moving into their power, enjoy it, go along for the ride, and then when it's your skill, you do something. But don't stop somebody else from claiming their power in that moment, because it's going to bring us all forward.
Okay,
And that,
thank you for that. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a real piece of clarity. I mean, this is what I love about you, brother, is what you're saying is, yes, each of us is bringing this offering, and in the container of our working together, we're like, wow, you've brought this beautiful piece. Yes, we needed that.
yes.
And
yes.
there's no because I mean, I have this friend who used to address me. He said, "Hey, King," and the only way that you can respond to that is, "Yeah, hey, King."
Yeah.
And it's that quality of the king recognizing another king and going, you're bringing this peace, King.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that, because we need all the kings to come together.
Yes.
We need to, the kingdom is not one king. The kingdom is everybody in their king.
Yes. Yes.
That's the kingdom that we're interested in.
Yes.
And it's
yes.
not being threatened by somebody who's in their king.
Exactly.
And because we're enough in our own king
Yes.
to go, appear.
Yes.
Yes, appear of the realm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
And
I hear that,
you've
yes.
appeared.
Literally. Yes. Yes.
And so really this is the masculine kingdom that we're interested in bringing.
Yes.
So we bring it individually, and we come together, and then we encourage that in each other.
Yes.
And that's a huge part of the work, is an invitation for the men that come to be invited into their king.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think when we also so there's a way of sharing and growing that can be done or is done a lot out there, where they get a group of guys together and they sit in a circle and they talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
And that's not how men process. That's not how men communicate. That's not how men do.
Yeah. That's how women do.
That's how women do.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening, so the better aspect, and this is something that we tend to do, is there's a task, there's an objective, we go out and we face that, you share that experience of having trying to resolve, to complete that objective, and then that allows that communication. And those it's often I found with some of the people that have attended, like particularly when we were in Scotland, little bits of information were dropped by these people as their barriers and the relationships and the brotherhood's been built up. But you need that task, you need that shared suffering, that shared experience.
Yes, you're talking about the edge.
The edge.
And this is one of the things that is missing from our lives, full stop.
It's an edge.
Is the edge.
Yes, that's it.
And if we're not going to, your words, be an adventurous party heading towards the edge, then there's no point in us getting together. If we're not busting through different edges in ourselves, then hey, we're not growing.
Yeah, that's it.
So that capacity to have the courage to meet the edge, and then go beyond where we think we're capable of going.
Yes.
That is something that we can do with other men, because we know that there's a strong arm there to catch us if we're over that edge and we're going to fall. Yes, and we've been there.
Yes, indeed.
Multiple times.
Yes, indeed.
And what's fascinating to me with the sessions that we've run is seeing what is an edge for each person. Because there are different edges, and we bring a whole range of edges. We're not just talking about a trial, a physical challenge. We're talking about a range of edges that we're going to have to meet on all of our levels, because all of those levels of the spectrum of being are invited and required.
Yes. I think one thing that I've noticed as we've done this, and this is where I hand over to something larger than myself, in that I've come with my little ideas as to what I would like to have happen, and to create the conditions for manhood to arise. No, it can't be forced. All I can do is create the conditions if possible. That's my humble hope. Can I do that? And then to see how the environment and nature and magic and power and spirit have moved to individually meet each man who has been willing within himself to turn up and to participate, that has just had this grin painted to my face at the everyday magic and the personal attention and the personal tests that life, spirit, the universe, you know, has magic and power has afforded to each man who is there to come to the edge with us. And that's the thing, that other thing that is really different, that isn't in any cookie cutter other event, where we're not, you know, in this reductionist event where it's like you come along to the subject you don't know about, and then when you leave you will know about the subject. Yes, come be qualified in this masculinity thing. That's not it at all. It's like, this subject is so huge, we start off at a point and it just opens up after that. You know, it's the opposite way around. It's not reductionist, it's something that opens up in the other direction. So we begin not knowing what masculinity is.
It's not like we're going to explain the mystery.
No,
the mystery cannot be explained.
Yeah, we're going to go and dive in it and then realise it's so huge, we can maybe just refer to some fragments of it on this encounter, but we have to come back for another encounter to grab another fragment, because it's that huge.
And then it becomes a state that we inhabit rather than something that can be spoken about.
Absolutely.
And that's where its power lies, in the unspoken nature of coming into, you know, the unseen, seemingly absent sort of aspect of masculinity. It's like, you know, we can't pin it down, but we know that when we come out, we come back from having been with the men, our women look at us differently.
Oh yes,
they're like, I want some of that.
I want some of that.
You know, there's a quality of energy that it creates, that it evokes in us, that then we're like, oh, okay, you know, and that power of being just with the men is really is something that you know, we've so lost, and we really need to regain.
And on that, this is why I'm so passionate about this aspect, because and I've noticed it with my one-to-one clients. Well, we mentioned it a little bit yesterday, but I've really noticed it, and in myself, and that is these atomized, individuated men who are divided from tribe, family, even connection. Every one of them is battling mood and motivation. Every single one, myself included. When I'm in an atomized state, I have to battle to get myself going and to stay focused and to deliver on my aspiration. Despite the fact I'm loaded with vision and aspiration, I'm loaded with things to do. You know, I could graft every day and still feel like, oh, there's still more to do. And yet still, how in such a situation can I be struggling with motivation? How can I be battling with my mood under such conditions of stuff to get on with? Because I've been divided, I'm conquered, I've been atomized. This was my realization. And what I found is, every single guy who's getting himself out of a rut does the same thing. He gets himself a gym buddy or a running buddy or somebody else, and basically he de-atomizes himself. Whether he realizes that's what's happening or not, it doesn't matter. That is what is happening. You're actually taking yourself away from being this separated, isolated unit and connecting up. And it's the connection that pulls you out of the rut, not the running, not the gym. And if you grow with the connection, then you're not going to fall back into that rut again. And that to me is the deep, quiet medicine that I'd like for people to realize. It's because you can't force it on them. You can just create the conditions for them to notice it. You know, and that's the secret gold that I would like to, you know, have people experience, is to feel, look at this connection, look at this feeling. You know, because that 84 men a week are killing themselves. Mental health is all over the place as being like, you know, a big men's issue, and all we're hearing is this: men need to talk about their feelings more. It's like, no, they don't. They've all had that offer on the table.
And
all these
worked.
Guys have had the offer and it hasn't worked, because that's women, or gynocentric men, feminized men saying, this is how women experience relief. Come experience the relief that women experience by doing this. And men can get some medicine from that, but they can't be empowered by it. I see men who will use that method. So we talked about it, therapy sessions, we've all been in them. Yes, you can get some healing and release from that, but you don't walk out feeling powerful. You don't walk out feeling, yes, I'm ready, you know. You walk out feeling, okay, oh, I'm glad I let that out. I'm glad I released that. Yes, I released this load that I had, but not more powerful as
Yes,
a man because
where's
of
the
it.
charge?
Where's the
Yeah.
charge? It's not there.
It's dissipating.
Exactly.
And that's what that process is about.
Yes.
Is about dissipating
Exactly.
charge. It's
But-
not about changing things
Exactly.
through
that same
through
charge.
that-
and that's what
yeah.
we bring that's different. Is okay, we say, yes, we've got our little therapy moment, but trust me, that is a small part of it. The rest of it is learning as men to deal with our mental health and our mood, which is this energy doesn't spill out in words, it enters our body. And then in our body, we work with it. And that's that thing you were talking about in the task. When you've got men who are side by side. So if we're facing each other, and I want to talk to you about my sexual difficulties, my sexual challenge, my frustration about my missus not being available to me, because that's really a lot of the issues that men are facing. To say that to another man, it feels like pulling my innards out. Do you know what I mean? To look another man in the eye and say that, oh my goodness, might as well like cut my guts open and spill them out. That would be easier for me. That would be easier. Whereas instead, if we're side by side, digging a hole for the toilet or building something, I'm like, and she fucking didn't do this, and and I felt like this, and I felt like crap. I'm not looking anyone in the eye. All that true feeling is entering in my body in a way that I couldn't ask you to receive that. I couldn't ask my missus to receive that. How unfair to go to another human and want them to receive that frustration. That's a fight. That's domestic violence. That's what that is, that same thing. But that same energy handled in male medicine ways, we've got a pile of chopped wood, and then we're looking at each other laughing afterwards because nobody had to receive that charge. I dissipated it in the traditional way, which was the wonderful earth receives it.
So what
anchors it,
you're
and I'm
talking about
released.
is the larger family, the broader relations,
Yes.
who can handle
Yes.
that male
Oh,
charge.
beautifully put.
Yes, they can handle it, and
Yes.
there's no longer a village to hold our grief.
Yes.
So
There's the planet for
so
it. Yes.
we need to go to the sea. We need to go to
Yes.
the forest.
Totally.
We need to go somewhere where that can be expressed
Yes.
and released
And
in
is
a way
welcome.
that is safe. That isn't
Yes.
domestic violence.
And-
that isn't an expression
Yes.
of toxic masculinity.
Yes.
And if you're confined in a small box with your missus or your family, then and you feel like you've run out of options, then you're like a cornered rat.
Yes, exactly.
And what we're saying is, hey, the context is really important.
Yeah.
We're not doing this in a building. We're
Yeah.
doing this in the forest. We're doing this next to a lake. We're doing this somewhere away from those little boxes. You need to get out of those boxes in order to feel alive, for goodness sake. To feel like you're living on this earth.
More than that, it's like, this works. This is the medicine. This is healing. This isn't just going to regurgitate your anger or medicate it for a few hours, but it comes back in 2 days' time. This is the release. It will be gone with these methods. We'll give you the methods that will work and bring actual healing so that it is gone. And men have used this method forever, and we have forgotten it in our isolation and our separation. And we, in our own, you've got that piece, you've got that piece, I've got this piece, other guys have got other pieces, but we've brought these particular pieces together, and they work. That's the point, It's not just a workshop high that's gone after 2 weeks. The point is, these methods will continue to work if you continue to use them.
And that's the other thing, is that all of us offer different qualities of mentorship that can carry on beyond the confines of us getting together for a few days.
Yes, that's it.
And we have years of experience of offering that. We're not just we haven't just qualified as a man
a
last
Reiki
week.
master, 2 days, Reiki master. I'm a master now. 2 days, 100 quid.
It's online course.
Yeah, 100 quid.
We didn't do the online course of masculinity. We're talking about our lived experience
Yes, that's
of
it.
being initiated men.
By life. Life itself initiated at the edge, yes.